If someone was to take a step back and to reflect on their life, what they may see is that they have had the tendency to feel bad about themselves, and so they can often experience guilt and shame. And they may see that in order to try to get away from this sense of badness, that they have been doing a lot. And so they may often be trying to achieve things, and so they could be a bit of a workaholic. They could often be exercising, they could be volunteering, all the kinds of things that will be a way for them to feel good about themselves and to be seen as someone who is a good person. Alternatively, they may see that they have often engaged in things that are not very constructive, and so they could drink a lot, take a lot of drugs, eat a lot of bad food, and engage in dangerous activities. And if someone can relate to the former, then they can be seen as a role model and as how someone should behave. Whereas if someone can relate to the latter, they're likely to be seen as someone who is an addict, and so they can be criticized and put down and seen as a bad example. However, regardless of whether someone does good things or bad things, they are simply going to be looking for a way to feel better about themselves. And if someone has spent a lot of time trying to achieve things, they may have been able to achieve a certain level of success. But because they feel so bad about themselves, what they may find is that they haven't been able to get very far. And so they can engage in self-sabotage on a regular basis. And so they could find that they take one step forward and then 2 steps back. They could experience happiness, and then all of a sudden something could happen and they could lose that experience. They could move forward in their career, then they could end up losing the success that they've attained, and they could make progress in other areas of their life, and once again they could end up going back to where they started or very close to it. And so at this point it could be said that they will have a set point, as everyone does, and if they go beyond this point, they will soon end up being pushed back. And this will be like a thermostat. So as soon as they go past a certain point, down they will go. And at this point, it could be said that they don't value themselves and they don't believe that they are worthy of good things. And when it comes down to how they feel, it will be as though they have done something very bad. And because they have done something that is very bad, it is not possible for them to let anything that is good into their life, or at least not for very long. And if they were to reflect on their life, they may struggle to find something that they have done that means they need to suffer forever. They could look back on their life and see that they have lived a good life. They're generally kind to others and haven't committed any crimes, for example. And so logically, there is no reason for them to feel this way. And one way of looking at this would be to say that this is probably a sign that they were abused and or neglected during their early years. And through personalizing what took place, they ended up developing a shame-based identity. And so it wasn't that their caregivers were behaving in a destructive way. It was that they were bad, and because of this they deserved to suffer forever and to push all the good that is in their life away from them, and to do what they can to continually try to earn their right to be here. And while this may be the case that they were mistreated during their early years, what this can also show is that they were deeply traumatized when they're in their mother's womb. And so this may have been a stage of their life when they were unable to bond with their mother. It simply wasn't possible for them to connect to her for whatever reason, and this would have caused them to feel rejected, disconnected and deeply traumatized, and they may have been flooded with shame and guilt. And so the experience was personalized. And so even though they wouldn't have done anything wrong during this time, they were completely innocent. They would have come to associate what was taking place as being their fault. And so if this was the case before they were even born, they would have been in a disconnected state and would have carried a lot of guilt and shame. And so it wouldn't have mattered that their brain wasn't anywhere near developed and the nervous system was still developing, as their being would have picked up what was going on for their mother, and this would have had a big effect on them. So if you can relate to this, you can see that you carry a sense of badness and you often feel guilty and ashamed. Then perhaps this is due to what took place whilst you were in your mother's womb. And so in order for you to let go of these feelings, you will need to process the pain that you experienced during this time. And so while inner child work takes place when it relates to childhood wounds, during this time you will be engaging in what could be described as inner womb work. And so there might not be any images, and there certainly won't be any thoughts. You will be able to connect to the feelings and the sensations that you experienced, and through feeling these feelings and going with the sensations that come up, or being with them, you will be able to let go, to gradually let go of what took place during the stage of your life, and to realize there is nothing wrong with you. You don't deserve to suffer or to work like a machine, and you deserve to be here and to receive good things. So if you can relate to this, you may need to reach out for external support. And through doing this, you will gradually be able to change your life and to realize that you deserve to be here and to live a great life. If you would like to find out more about the services that I offer, please go to www.oliverjrcooper.co.uk or email me at info@oliverjrcooper.co.uk, and I'm looking forward to assisting you on your journey.